Okay, guys. Good afternoon. Thank you everyone for joining us. Thank you, Bongi, for making the time. We know you have a busy schedule with your training, with the training, the UJ girls, TNL also preparing for that, the World Cup, and your busy schedule. And yeah, we have some top tier guys here. Some media guys from the City Press, Isole, Zue, Sports 24, Times Live, IOL, and so forth, And we thought, you know what, instead of separating all of these interviews, we have something exclusive for around 10 media guys that, we are continuously engaging and we'd like for them to, just to propel your story and then, engage you. And yeah, before maybe we start, maybe just some house rules. I think rule number one, we'd like to do this like in a round robin kind of way, where each and every media house or journalist will be able to ask one question, and then we go around that. I will say your name, and then you can jump on to asking your question so that we just flow seamlessly. And yeah, with that said, we will go on to another round of questions until the hour is finished. So I am earmarking at least two or three questions per media house. Sisbongi, don't be afraid there, no pressure. But yeah, and then maybe just another thing, once your time is up, once I call your name, please switch on your camera if you are comfortable. Say your name and the media house that you're coming from, pose your question, and then we will go yeah, according to that structure. So I don't think, Ms. Bongi, you need any introduction. Maybe you can break the ice a bit, and yeah, welcome the guys, and then we can start with Tisetso there from, say, City Press, and then we'll go according to the list here that I have. So yeah, shoot.
Greetings to everyone. I'm actually pleased that I could at least have this time to answer all your questions. This year has been quite hectic, and I don't think there's enough time to accommodate everyone. So this is probably one of the best time where I could hopefully have the answers for your questions, and also just for you to be hyped up. Obviously, this is quite an amazing year for all of us, and I'm quite glad. And I think it's also important that I respect your requests. So I hope this time will help. I don't know, I'll probably be guided by the questions. Then I think I'm ready.
All right. Okay, cool. According to my list here, Tisetso from the City Press, please pose your question.
All right, thank you so much, Nelo. Good morning to good afternoon to everyone. Am I audible enough?
Yes, you are.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Bongi, for your time. Wish you and the rest of the team everything of the best for the World Cup. I just have a question that I've always been fascinated with around netball. Can you just please take us through, what sort of injuries are regular or consistent or known to be what are the regular injuries, the causes of injuries in netball, and what is the lifespan of a professional netball player? Thank you.
um, this is a tricky question, but I think the major injuries, I'll probably say it's ACL, and that's obviously your knee injuries, and there's mostly the ankle injuries, and recently you'll see a lot of shoulders as well. But I think more for the ankle injuries and the knees is probably because of a lot of change of direction and the impacts on the floor. And that's what probably I think the sport itself has been experiencing over the years. I wouldn't be able to say what's the lifespan of a netball player, but I would say it obviously depends on injuries and health-wise, and also in terms of fitness. But we've seen now, I think there's one athlete from Australia who retired, I think 2013. She came back to play World Cup this year, and she's 42 years old. So I think it's barely, literally depends on if you are fit enough to go, and you obviously performance, if you can put up performances.
Cool. Thank you. This yeah, and then we jump on to Miss Alicia from IOL Sport. Please pose your question. You're on mute, Alicia.
Guys, in 2023, I'm still on mute. Sorry about that. Bongi, lovely to meet you. Thanks for chatting us today. I just wanted to know, obviously, we got a month to go to the Netball World Cup next week. Just tell us about Gies within the team. Obviously, everyone's still busy with TNL, but I'm sure you're seeing all your teammates and everyone together. Obviously, the last, in a sense, big sporting international event that we had was the 2010 World Cup. But just take us through, how you guys feeling ahead of the tournament.
I think, Alicia, the first big thing is I guess everyone is looking forward for the team announcement. There's 15 of us, and we know with the change in rules from World Netball, 3 non-traveling players can now come to the World Cup, but they can only take part if there's a serious injury and someone needs to be taken off the team, and they can come in as a replacement. So that, I think, is probably something that's going to help not just us, but all the other teams. But I really have to say, even before the team was announced, everyone was really pumped. The work rate at training was at a training camp was just fantastic. I was so pleased I'm not a coach, because I'm pretty sure they had a good headache to try and pick the 15, which is quite probably something that we were looking forward to over the years, to have really good depth within the Spar Proteas. So I guess it's not only for a tournament or an event that the team has been selected for, but obviously long term as well. We also are quite aware that this World Cup is at home, and it's probably something that no one knows if we will ever come back to South Africa. So we're taking full responsibility and making sure that we actually enjoy every single part of it, and we give it our best shot. So yeah, the mood is quite, I guess everyone is really pumped and looking forward to it.
Cool. Thank you. And then we go on to Miss Lynn Butler from Sport 24.
Hi, Bongi. Hope you're well. I wanted to ask you, it kind of links to TNL, but you guys haven't played as a unit, and obviously you're going into a massive tournament in a few weeks' time. Is that a bit of a concern for you, or are you confident that the girls can pull it together and kind of, even though they haven't played together before the World Cup, do you think you guys could are confident enough to perform come July 28th?
Hi, Lean. I think we actually in more or less the same position as other probably top countries. New Zealand, I think they just finished their league, I think last week, if I'm not mistaken. Australia is still going on. I think they're also finishing off this coming weekend. England also just finished last week with their league. And I think in saying this, you want athletes to be part of, I guess, their top competition. So I guess it helps with game time and match fitness as well. I'm just grateful for the couple of days that we're going to have together. And that's where, I guess, a few plans in terms of who we're coming up against. I think the first game is against Wales, and we're actually lucky that we've played them before. So we will have some footage probably to look at. And we've watched the league. There's a couple of players who are playing in different leagues. So it's really not only us who haven't been together at this time. It's purely, I guess, how the netball world is set up, and with all the tournaments and the leagues going on, I guess all athletes has to go out there and play, because, and we've spoken about this before, the worry could be, what about injuries? We all know that can happen anywhere. Touch wood, it doesn't happen. But if we think of it positively, it really gives players, some match fitness, and in terms of, your own performances, trying to be at your peak. By the time you get to the team setup and actually getting ready for such a big event, you actually only have to work on, I guess, the tacticality part of the game, compared to are you fit enough to play? Because that will take as if you had a league, and if you actually had a great one, then you'll come back with such positive mindsets and looking forward to it, which I'm really pleased. I think the squad players are really doing well. I'm not a coach, but it's always nice to sit on the side and just watch that not only one or two, but obviously all the players are really stepping up, which I think it's going to be good when we come to camp together.
Great. Xolile from Isolezwe, ungabuza sis.
Hi, Bongi.
Hi,
Olile
Steve.
from Isolez, where I'll start in English, but perhaps later, if I get another chance, I'd like to go ngesiZulu. When we did a presser with Coach Norma last week, I believe, there was a mixed reception on the fact that she's still overseas. But as a player and as a captain, how are you connecting with the coach, even though she's all across the world in Melbourne? And how is that affecting the team, and how is the communication?
At this time, Kolile, I think the only way we communicate with her is via, I guess, WhatsApp, just to check in. She does check in how we're doing, and she'll comment in terms of our individual performances, because obviously she can't coach us based on the group or based on our teams, because we play for different teams. But at this stage, it's really just to touch base on certain things that she might want us to work on. But I've been pretty pleased, I think, individually with how I'm going with the fireballs. I think there's a few things that I wanted to come out this year and work on, which I think it's actually going well. But we can't really focus more on the fact that Norma is not here, because either way, even if she was here, this time is purely for Telkom Netball League, which is obviously our highest level of competition in our country, where everyone really has to step out and play. And I think we're quite privileged that we have that chance. So it's really now only, I guess, the time more for our coaches in our provinces, compared to even if she was here, she wouldn't be able to, I guess, do anything with us at this time. But she's really hands-on. There's a few meetings that we have also behind the scenes in trying to make sure that we World Cup ready. But yeah, I think at this time it's just about ourselves with our teams in our provinces, giving our best performances and see how far we can finish, and more so how we can perform individually to make sure we are ready for the World Cup, especially because we still don't know who's making the cut in terms of the 12.
Thank you.
Cool. Thanks, Xolile. Zahir, I have noted your hand. Just want to go to one of our radio platforms there, from East Coast Radio, Fahida. Please pose your question.
Hi, thanks, Nello. Morning or afternoon, Miss Bongi. I think my question is more similar to Miss Lynn and Xolile regarding the squad. I mean, you have a 15-player squad that has been announced already that needs to be reduced to 12 players. It's crunch time. A lot of those players are youngsters, debutants, 7 debutants among the 15 players. I mean, do you have any concerns as a player and as captain as well about the sort of the time limit that you have, especially with Coach Norma and with the TNL that's happening at the moment? I mean, are there any concerns about maybe those youngsters gelling ahead of such a huge competition? It's the World Cup and it's a home World Cup, so a lot of pressure is on the squad. So just your thoughts on that.
Hi, Fahida. I think, to be honest, we really had, I guess, a great quad series. There's a few things that we knew from there we needed to work on. We had a couple of senior players available at that time. As soon as we finished, players went overseas, the senior ones mostly, to go and play for their clubs. Us and some of the young girls in the squad stayed behind, but we then had a chance to go and play in Australia against one of the top teams that played in Suncorp, which was really good because it gave, I guess, the new players in the squad a chance to have a crack against one of the Australian Diamonds players, but also some of the great players that plays in the best league in the world in Suncorp. So I think, and coming after that, we really had a good camp in March, which was probably our longest camp. And then the final camp that we had now before, I guess, the squad was announced. I really think at this point, everyone who's part of the squad has been given a fair chance of actually having a crack of playing some really good competition netball. So whenever you have to get out there, you're kind of ready, compared to you only starting then to feel how it's going to feel like really at World Cup. I guess everyone can have concerns. I'm pretty sure even all the countries that are coming in are probably going to have that feel of only if we had more time. There's really what we've done. I feel like it's should be enough to get together now, even for the juniors to get on and know exactly what we're working towards and what to do. And I think I'm saying this because we had obviously Norma with Nick and Coach Dumi together at a couple of camps now, and it's not like there's anyone who has never had a chance of working with them and actually having an idea of what it means, to get out to the World Cup stage what are the expectations, what's the standard of us at trainings. I think we've laid it out all, and everyone should be ready. In saying this, being ready also depends on obviously the different number of combinations that we're going to have, and that's probably one biggest thing that one should look forward to saying the last camp, whoever that makes the crack, to actually work on certain combinations and everyone fitting in. But otherwise, I think individually, all the players that have had a chance and the ones that have been announced in the 15, anyone that gets to be called in the 12 should be ready for what is coming. I think that there was a fair bit of getting a chance to get out there and know how it's going to feel like.
Great. Thanks, Fahida. Then we go back to IOL. Zahir, please pose your question there.
Hi, Bongi. Thanks for making the time to speak to us. Just a question. We saw in Cape Town a couple of months ago with the Proteas Women's Cricket World Cup, how the people came out and they really came out to support them. Are you looking forward to gaining similar support from the people of Cape Town? And also, does that motivate you guys when you get that type of support, or is it extra pressure? We now have to do well for these people.
Yeah. Oh, look, I think we're quite looking forward to seeing everyone coming out in numbers. There is no confidence booster as having your home fans around you, backing you in such a massive event. I think we felt it when we were also in England. You could see that every time England steps on courts, they actually have an extra player with their fans really backing them. And a few times we've had test series hosted here. It was really great. It's a great feeling to step out on court and knowing that you are at home, and obviously majority of the fans are backing you. So without having to feel any pressure, it is pressure to be part of a World Cup. It is pressure to be part of, something so big that's actually has a potential of creating a massive history, and that you can never obviously shy away from. But it's how you go about obviously preparing for it and being ready for it. So either way, what seemed to be a positive thing towards us is actually being at home. Everyone wants to play in front of their families, in front of, I guess, their true fans, in front of their country, everyone having a chance of coming out, but also those young stars coming out and seeing a whole lot of the role models from all over the show. I think it's just a plus on our side. We can't really think of this as pressure. I think we can look at it as, what can come out of this. This is a massive chance of actually really having a good go. One World Cup at home. Like I said, no one really knows if we'll ever come back here to this country. And it's really on us to just give it our best shot and seeing, how best we can finish.
Just a follow-up on that. We saw how emotional it was for Sunay and her side. Will you be chatting to some of them just to, how they absorbed it? Because they thoroughly enjoyed the occasion. Will you have a chat to them just to see, just taking it in and how it, and basically enjoying the ride instead of, feeling the pressure?
There's definitely a couple of plans that we've made for when we get to camp together, and I'm pretty sure that speaking to the likes of all the captains, I guess in our national squads will be probably one thing that we'll like to do. And on my side, just to have a chat and see how they took on. I guess you don't want to say pressure, but it's not something that you can take for granted that you have to lead a side that's going to represent us all at a World Cup at home. So it will be something that I'll definitely look forward to doing, and I'm quite lucky I can have also contact with the likes of Sia Kolisi, and that's also, I guess, something that I would look to obviously contacted them and having a nice chat just to see. It's not to say there's something they can obviously completely change, but just to hear their views and see how we can obviously take on this journey and hear it from the people who have been through it and who have done really well. So we're following on steps that are really, really good steps, and people who are really leading, I guess, greatly in their own spaces. And I think we're quite lucky that we can actually use their resources as well to make sure that when we get there, we are ready in all aspects and we can give it, this one our best shot.
Great. Thank you, Zahir. And then we move on to Ayanda from Ikakasi FM. Ayanda Newswa. Ayanda, we're struggling with your sound there. Can't hear you. Okay. Maybe we'll come back to Ayanda. We'll come back to you, sir. Nkululeko from Ukhozi and SABC Sports. Please pose your question.
Ngiyabonga sanibona. Sawubona Mamsomi.
Sawubona.
Ngicela ukubuza ngesiZulu. Uqeda ukukhuluma ngabo siyakolisi wakhuluma ngendlela eningafunda kubona. Mhlambe umuntu angabuza ukuthi sekwenziwe konke sekudlulile ku World Cup. Isiphi isifiso onaso ngalomdlalo we World Cup ukuze senze sure ukuthi abanye obongiwe Msomi baqhubeka ukuvela kule minyaka ezayo. Ngiyabonga.
I'm sorry to everyone who might be offended, but I'm going to answer in Zulu just to accommodate the question. Ngicabanga ukuthi bhuti okwami baleke kakhulu ukuthi ngenze sure ukuthi la ngihamba khona akuyimi kuphela ukwazi ukuthi alide i-team ayilide to ukuthi ibe ngathi the best ebangaba yiwona, and akumina ngedwa fanele ngenze lokho, kufanele kwenziwe yimi nalabo engilida nabo, phinde kube nabadlali bona self. Sike sathi masecampini ngathi kufanele ukuthi wonke umuntu afile free mayelanga ngale ndlela ukuthi sonke sizazi ukuthi siyama leaders. So i-idea yokuba ku-national team ukuthi kungabi yimi ngedwa obukeka ngathi kufanele lead team, akekho umuntu oyedwa kwazi ukwenza umsebenzi ongaka ube impumelelo, kodwa uwenza njengane group. Ngifisa ukuthi ke labo bangaphandle mhlambe nakhona ethimini isifundo mhlambe singashiya ukuthi manikwazi ukubambisana nisebenze ngendlela nibambisene futhi nihamba towards ama goals wenu ninonke niyakwazi ukwenza noma yini be possible. Ingakho ngifisa ukuthi mhlambe noma ngabe siyakwenza lokhu esizokwenza singakwenzi kuyithina sodwa esibe nolwazi noma sibe nale information encane esinayo, kodwa sifune nangaphandle ukuze masibuye sihlangana sibe nolwazi oluningi ukuthi abanye benze kanje mhlambe thina singazama kanje, ukuze masikwenzekile ukuthi ekugcineni ake ngithi nje le ndlela yethu ibimpumelelo sokwazi ukubuya sithi mawuhambe yakubantu ufuna usizo niphinde nisebenze ndawonye ngokubambisana niyakwazi ukwenza izinto eziphumelele. Ukubambisana nje kuyisay ubaba uMandela wathi isport isona esihlanganisayo sisi-unite, sifuna ukwazi ukwenza lokho kube yiqiniso futhi kwenze kubonakala kubantu ukuthi lokho kuyiqiniso ngempela.
Great. Hope Kulego, you're happy there. And then we go on to Miss Neo Sisinye from Tagged Online. Please can put your camera on and ask a question. Neo. Okay. We'll go back to Uneo. Mr. Stembiso from Times Live, please ask your question there.
Thanks. Hi, Bongi. Hi, everyone. Looking at the squad, Bongi, I heard my colleague was saying that there's at least 7 young players, and it is quite a balanced mixture with the experience. Looking beyond the World Cup, what would you say is the future like for this team?
I would say definitely we're looking like a side that will actually have depth for a good couple of 3-4 years, and which will be fantastic because if you look at that time span, World Cup happens every after 4 years. So I think the next World Cup after this will be well looked after with the talent, the pool of talent that we have. And it's really great to have, these girls coming into camp and actually being able to help them be the best that they can be. And I think they're doing such a fantastic job. And at this stage, the more excitement would be to see them actually this World Cup, showing what they've got, but also showing that actually as South African in netball, we really do have talent. If it's well polished, everyone can really see the evidence, the proof out there. And I think they will be able to do that. And they can't do it alone. Obviously, they will do it with the team. And I do back all the seniors that are there, part of the team. Everyone really just wants to work together and ensuring that everyone who's in that space feel well supported. And I think that's what we've done well so far. So we're really looking forward to these young stars stepping up and taking up the space at World Cup, and they really will. They will do with all our support.
Great. Budi Ayanda, I see that. I think you're back, so you can ask your question. Feel free to put your camera on if you want.
Hi guys, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Awesome. Sorry guys, I just got disconnected there with my sound, and I joined a bit late because I was struggling with the internet. So I'm not sure if this question has been asked already. But just a follow up in terms of looking at everything holistically for you guys, Bongi. Obviously, we did have the cricket girls earlier on this year performing really well, reaching the final, and there's also the Banyanas coming up later on, and the Springboks. Just looking at holistically from a motivation point of view for you guys, how important is it to continue to set the tone after what the Momentum Proteas were able to achieve in the Cricket World Cup, and also continuing with that, looking at the fact that it is a year of women in sports, and Banyana also coming up later in the year. So how important is it for you guys to make sure that you stamp your marker in this tournament to ensure that you continue with the momentum of reaching the final and doing well in the competition?
It is a massive motivation with no pressure. I think they've really done well. Everyone was actually following through, and we were supporting them, because I think even if it's not for us, but the more we have women in sports stepping out and actually showing that they have the potential to be the best that they can be, it helps all of us, not just that specific sporting code. So for us to follow, such footsteps, it's really just a massive honor. And I think at this stage, no one really would want to go to a home World Cup, especially, and not want to once at least a podium finish. So that's what we're looking forward to, but more so to actually step out on court and have really great performances in each and every game, because that sets the tone. So I think more than anything, ours is to focus on what we need to do, and understanding that this year is actually more, for women in sports specifically. And, what's a better time to be part of, such history, because more than anything, like I said, we look at long term as well. This World Cup is going to set a lot of things. It's going to be such a positive influence in terms of how I think netball is looked at in future. And with us being part of, this space at this time, I think it's very important that we take it very serious, and we are doing that. So it's going to be such a motivation. There's a lot of things that are motivating us at this stage, and I think it's nice to be motivated compared to be intimidated. So we're looking forward to what lies ahead.
Great. And then we move back to Uneo. Neo, are you fine now?
Hi, yes, I'm fine. I'm so sorry about that. Good afternoon, everybody. My question is that, considering that we are in Youth Month and we just have the Stand Tall campaign, which was recently launched by Telkom, I mean, how was this campaign bringing or preparing opportunities for aspiring players, especially those who come from disadvantaged areas where they are not exposed to netball or netball
I'll
facilities?
say, Neo, the Stand Tall campaign was probably one of the fantastic campaigns I've been blessed to be part of. And in saying this, I know there's about 4 ambassadors of this campaign, and all of them getting out, back to their rural, I guess, where they come from, to give back in terms of netball clinics and meeting those superstars, but also really just talking netball and what's happening this year, and just creating the vibe around the World Cup. And there is no better time in actually us having to touch on these lives at this time, because usually we really don't have time to get out there and meet those young superstars. We're quite lucky, I think, on my side, because I do have a project that forces me to get out and, share some skills, netball skills, and, just general skills on and off the court. But it's not every time that we really have a full time where someone is supporting us to say, go out there and share to these kids. I think they are actually at a good position this year that this is happening, and I can really hope that it's not going to only stop this year, that it will be an ongoing process where almost all the, national players can get out and be in touch with the talent that is out there, because there's a lot of it. And the more fresh information that goes to these athletes, I think it's more valuable, because then going forward, they can actually just, dwell on that and actually see how best they can be from the information that we've shared. So really thanks to Telkom and the Stand Tall campaign. I think it's really probably one of the most fantastic campaigns that we've ever had. And at this point, in thinking about it, netball is really not only at a top level. It is at a development level, and you can only get to see these kids if you have such campaigns that will support them. And in saying this, there was a couple of flyers that went out with different photographs of the national players. It was really great. At some point, I did ask, the players in Hammersmith, when I was able to go home and run a clinic for different schools there. It was nice to see, that the kids out there have so much knowledge of what's going on within the Spar Proteas. They even know the players, they know who the coaches are, and you will never really assume that they do know. Some of them don't even have TV to follow, netball, but they really do extra mile in finding out who is there, who is my role model, which position they play. And that's really massive. So I think those type of things are the things that we look forward to, not only stop doing it now, to carry on doing it even when we stop playing.
Great. Thank you, Neo. I think before we move on to the second round here, with the last 25 minutes, there's just Mawande from EWN who is not here, but he sent me his question. The question reads, what do you, says Bongi, hope young girls specifically will gain from watching you as well as their heroes, and being able to have access to them through the Stentor campaign, for example?
I think there is no better time than actually physically being able to meet your role model. I think a few times I'll even be shy myself when I see some of the kids actually in tears just because they see me at a Telkom Netball League. So we take it for granted that there's people who really look up to us. And because of the time, probably that we don't have to meet them, when we get that second to see them and see how emotional they can get, to see how they actually respect the idea of it, even if it's a 2 seconds where they can take a picture or an autograph, I think that is really massive. And now to think that some of these kids, depending on how far they are, I guess, from the venue, or if they can get there, at World Cup, hopefully they can even meet not just ourselves, but also the international players. That is really a big story for their netball journey, and not just for their netball journey, for their lives in general, because that's something that is really big, that you can constantly say, I was there, compared to actually I saw it at home, I did follow it, on social media or on TV. So this year is literally one of the kids' beautiful story being created, and probably the journey being created as well. We're taking pictures now and we're smiling about it. Probably someday someone will be posting that picture and say, I really looked forward to be part of the Spar Proteas one day, and I was only 13 years old. I probably took a picture with the Linese, and then eventually now I'm playing for the national side. And that's the stuff that we want to see, I guess, in this year and in the years to come. The connection between who is currently I would say a national player, and are they in connection with anything that's happening in terms of development? Can they touch lives out there? We want kids to play sports. We know what sports does, I guess, for us currently. And the more we can go out there and share and make these kids understand, maybe the more we can also pump them to actually want to take the sports really serious, especially women in sports.
Great. No, thank you. I don't know if maybe Bongi, you have a glass of water there, Kanmani, so you can
No, I'm
just
good.
okay,
I'm
cool.
very talkative, I guess.
That's cool. Okay, so since the first round took us around like 30 something minutes, I think the second round here will probably be our final one. So we'll go round robin again, and I'll start with City Press, Disetso. Please pose your question.
Thanks very much, Nelo. Just based on the last three questions, Bongi, and your answers to the last three questions, what would you want to be the legacy that is left by the Netball World Cup in South Africa?
Top performances on court, finishing on the podium. Couple of young athletes, especially from disadvantaged areas, being able to come and watch live and see what it means actually to be at a World Cup. What's the setup? What's the vibe looking like? So they themselves can actually go back home and share these experiences, so everyone can just have a feel of what netball is about.
Great. And then we go on to Mr. Stembiso from Times Live.
Thanks. Bongi, you are also a coach now. The first time you worked with Coach Noma Plama, I believe you were still just a player.
Yeah.
Having her again this time around, is it something that excites you that you can learn from one of the best coaches when it comes to netball?
It is really a privilege to work with Noma. She's very much of a very professional person, and her standards are quite visible. I think that's something I really take back home in Hammersdale when I coach, and back to my projects, but also back to the University of Johannesburg where I work. And even wherever I go to in terms of clinics, whatever kids that I touch on, in terms of my coaching physically, I really try to leave a message of maybe this is how you can view things. This is how you can go about in getting athletes to perform at their best, because I really think she's really good in getting out the best from an athlete. There's certain things that she would do, and I would look at it and I would think, yes, I want to take this to, and let it be part of my coaching career. But in saying this, when I'm at camp, I'm very much of an athlete myself. I'm very mindful of, you want to make sure that when you at camp as an athlete, you're just an athlete. And coming out of there, obviously, I'm fully an athlete and a coach. So the balance there is quite important to me, because I constantly I'm still learning myself, and I still want to learn. So I don't want to mix the two. So then I lose focus. But she's really fantastic. I'm really pleased that she also supports the idea of me actually wanting to be a coach. There's a few things she'll also just put down for myself to actually have a look at in terms of my coaching, and some of the drills, some of the things that she would think that it's easier to get, I guess, this skill out of an athlete. So we share a lot of ideas, a lot of information she'll share. So I'm quite privileged to be part of that setup.
Great, great, great. And then East Coast Radio, Fahida.
Thanks so much, Nelo, again. I think from me, I think I want to focus on you, Miss Bongi. Time is, maybe this question is 30 days a bit too premature, but I mean, time is not on any one side. The World Cup happening 2023, the next 4 years, we'll see another World Cup. In the next 4 years, what are we going to see from Miss Bongi? Are we going to see more coaching from you? Is this it? Are you throwing in the towel after this World Cup? What is your legacy that you want to hold post the 2023 Netball World Cup?
I love this question more than all the other questions. I'm joking. On my side, I think coming into this year, the biggest idea was, especially for the Quad Series in January, I wanted to be at my best in terms of fitness level, because I always feel like the fitter I am, I play probably good netball. And with that, I think I achieved that. I went to camp currently. We did fitness testing, probably at my best fitness I've ever been. And I was actually quite pleased to see that. I'm playing TNL currently, enjoying it as much. So I think a couple of things that I've ticked as part of stuff that I want to work on, it's really good to see that I'm putting in the work, and I can see it actually happening even physically. But in saying that, a World Cup is not just another tournament. It's really a massive task to go out there and constantly be able to perform each and every day. I think we probably have one day where you break and then you just carry on going on. I know it's going to be massive. I think the biggest thing I want to do is to constantly just focus on, I guess, one game at a time, and really just my performances, but also making sure that the team obviously is pulling along together, because that's the important part, more than just myself being there and being able to perform. And in saying this, nothing in my head has anything to do with what's going to happen after this World Cup. I want to play the World Cup and play it and make it be the best World Cup in history. And if that can happen, and then whatever that happens after that will take care of itself. Really, I just don't care about what is a Bongi after. I think I've created a lot of opportunities where I can actually fall back into a lot of things, even when I stop playing. I'm not panicking about that, because I think I have a lovely job at the University of Johannesburg. I'm really blessed with that. And I'm actually doing what I really love. I'm a netball manager and I coach there. And I have a project that is really running already, where I'm able to again coach and physically be part of growing some talent out there and making the girls and boys actually love the sports even more. And I love that idea. And I know that there's so many opportunities. I've actually taken a few photo shoots, I guess, for Puma. There was one we did with Glamour, and there's one with, I think, Nonoshe magazine. And after that, I thought to myself, listen, even if I had wanted to go out there and be a model at one stage, I'm joking. But there's a lot of things that I've put out for myself. And I thought, listen, if I'll say I am done, I'll be happy because I know I've actually, God has blessed me with so many opportunities that are quite evident they're going to take me long term. And besides that, I think I've done a lot of work as well to be where I am today and to be grateful for what I have. But I have no idea of what I'm going to do after World Cup. I really just want to have a great World Cup. So please pray for us to have a great World Cup this year. Then next after that, you will know exactly what's going to happen.
Thank you, Bongi.
Cool. No, we're definitely praying there, Bongi. We're definitely praying. Nkululeko from Ukhozi FM, ungabuza umbuzo bhuti.
Ngiyabonga. Just to follow up on Ayanda News's question, he spoke about Banyana Banyana no Spar Proteas. Their victories or success put more pressure on the fight against inequality in our sport. Would you say the Proteas will be doing this? Will be hoping to do well so that they can fight? They can help those who are fighting against inequality in our sport, from sponsorship to salaries.
I really actually look forward to a time where women in sports don't have to only be supported or be heard or be considered or acknowledged just based on performance, but for what is right. I think at some point when that happens, that we would know that as women in sports, we've actually achieved so much. And it's really fantastic for, all the other sporting codes to step up and really have some great performances, because it looks like, with all the wins that any sporting codes can get, it actually helps, to get the recognition for, I guess, sport women. And as much as that is not how it should go, I think it's actually for now the reality. So no one will ever go out there and actually just want to perform for the sake of, if you are a woman in sports, because you quite understand how impactful your performances and the results, can be for the future, not only of your sports, but for the future, I guess, of all other women or girls and boys that are coming through. And I think with us at this stage, Netball has done so much. I guess Netball South Africa, credits to them. They've done so much in touching lives and actually ensuring that, they support everything to do with us as netball players, specifically to be recognized. And sitting here, I'm probably one of the people who are actually benefiting from, the little that we get in terms of the support out there. And, me leading the Spar Proteas, the idea will always be to pave the way and to make things better for those coming after us. So really this World Cup is part of that as well, to actually just get out and give it a crack, because we know how the result, can change the whole narrative of what is women in sports. Do they really deserve support? And the future of our sports, I guess, being professionalized, I guess it relies on, at this stage, it relies on such events and obviously the results, which like I said, I don't think that should be the case. I think anyone that steps out, doesn't matter the gender, as long as you are representing, especially representing your country, that's the highest level of, your sporting career in your country, to be supported and fully supported, so without having to be looked at in terms of are you a female or a male. So at this point, we're quite aware. Like I have to say, everything that we do, we really just try and make sure that we leave the legacy of this is the way, and we've paved it in a way that people that are impactful in terms of making sure that the sport is supported, and especially in terms of funding as well. We are creating that chance to be out there for the future of the superstars that are coming after us.
Great. Then we move on to Ms. Mpisani Olile from Isorezwe.
Hi, Bongi. Just, touching on the Telkom Netball League. I mean, Telkom has been loyal to the league and is getting better and better. Just how far do you think we are in terms of, having a full-on professional league? We've seen more teams being added. That, having a league that will approach the standards of the leagues that we see in Australia, New Zealand, England, and so forth. I mean, looking at the players that we have in different parts of the country, all provinces seem to have top teams, and there some even have two teams competing in the Telkom Netball League.
I have to say I'm quite lucky that I'm one of the people who really works hand in hand with Telkom and being part of the Stand Tall campaign. It's really a massive task for Telkom to constantly every year supports one of what we call our best league in the country. So really credit to them, and we're hoping that the partnership between them and NSA would last for as long, so that it's not just only us who benefit from it, but also those ones who are coming after us. But in terms of how far we're going to being professional with the league, I really have to say I've been pleased. And when I see some people on social media saying, "Oh, the league is getting not long now; it must finish." And in my head, I'm thinking, I remember the time where we were like, "Oh, this league is too short." So it's not as long as we would want it to be. It's not exactly where I guess it will get to a point where it's really fully
Hello, guys. Is it my network or it seems like Bongi?
I think it's frozen.
Hi, Bongi.
I'm so sorry. I think I'm back.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
lost
no,
my connection.
you're definitely back. I don't know if you want to slowly let you ask the question again.
Sorry, sis. I don't know if you got the answers. Do you want to ask again? Then I can just touch on it.
Yeah, no, you were just getting on the parts where you said the league is still not as long as you'd want it to be. I think
Yeah.
even Coach Norma has alluded to that it should be running a bit longer, like weekend to weekend, not just like having it as one small on and off thing.
Yeah, definitely. Because if you think of Suncorp in Australia, which is one of the, I guess, highest netball league in the world, they actually ran their league from March, I think, up to like October, sometimes September, later in September. So that actually gives them a full-on competitive year compared to us, where I think we started in April, and now we're finishing just the end of June. 1st of July will be done already. So that's more like we go on for like 2 months and then that's it. And if I think about it, I remember before it used to be even shorter than that. So we are getting slowly there, but it's still not there. And if you think about it, that's probably why some of the players will still opt to go overseas, because we don't really have enough as what we would want to have at this point. But really, like I said, credit to Telkom, because it looks like every year it's getting better, and we're hoping that at one stage it will be a bang. There's the long-term league going on. And in terms of competition, I'm loving what I'm seeing at this point, because sitting here today, no one can really say who's basically going to take the Telkom Netball League. And that's how competitive, I guess, netball has been in this country, which shows that the talent is there, but we just need the platforms where the competition happens to be even more efficient, I guess, for the for the athletes to be able to compete longer terms, like we said, compared to what is happening currently.
Great.
And if I can just do a quick follow on that, just like your team are doing well in the Telkom Netball League. Just the games have been very, very close. Are you just scared that someone may take your shine this season?
Can I just say, I don't think people realize that Fireballs just won the league once last year. After Jaguars have won it 5 times, it feels to me like we are the one who's been winning it all the time. And it was great last year to just change it all up and win the league. And at this year, we actually just started thinking we are just getting out there as a new team, and we want to see how far we can finish, and obviously wanting to win where we can. And it's been great to play close matches, and in all of them coming up with a win. I think it's really such a great preparation also for going into for those who will go into such a big event in the World Cup. If you can't really have the BMT and take the when it's crunch time and be as composed and win at least by 1 or 2 goals, then you can't be able to do it when you really need to. So this is part of the practice as well for a bigger picture. I think even yesterday I said to one of the ladies at work, if there's one place where I think TNL is actually preparing us better for the World Cup, it's basically this year, because all the scenarios that we should have been to be actually pushed up to the limit and see if we can finish. It's actually happening for our side as Fireballs, and credits to the other teams as well for bringing in the pressure. We spoke last year and we said we want to be the team that is respected. When people play us, they must play their best netball. They mustn't take us for granted. And we won the league, and actually this is what's happening now. People are respecting us, so we need to absorb it and just carry on grinding it through. It's so good to still, touch wood, no loss up to now.
Thank you.
Cool. Thank you. Yeah, before we move on to Alicia, Craig, I know that you're still there as well as Bongi. I see that we have around 6 minutes. However, we have a few more media guys that need to ask their second questions. Do we have liberty to get you for another 10 minutes?
I think Bongi, I don't know how your schedule's looking. I think it's just up to you. I know you might have to run.
No, I'm good. I think we can go. Yep.
All right. No, perfect. Thank you, Craig. Thank you, Bongi. Alicia, from IOL Sport, please pose your question.
Bongi, this is a bit off topic, not really about netball, but do you want to take us through your glamour shoot? It was very glamorous, mind the pun, but it was very, very cool. Take us through maybe, it being the year, everyone is calling it now 2020 She. Take us through that and, being part of Glamour, we know it's a well-known magazine in South Africa, and just getting yourself out there, netball out there in just a different platform.
There's, if I have to speak about the glamour shoot, firstly, I just keep thinking in my head, when I see that picture as a front cover, I keep thinking, how did I do that? I don't think people do understand how shy I probably used to be, because I don't feel as shy anymore. And having to be dressed like that, and a picture going viral like that. I think that was one of the times where I had to come out of my comfort zone and actually just do what I thought. It was actually just a cool thing to come out of, what you used to do and do something different. And I do have the respect of the people who actually asked me to get out there and actually, be part of a massive shoot. Obviously, was part of Puma as well, and one of the Puma athletes. I'm really privileged to be part of, such platforms where I look at it as, even if I'm uncomfortable at times, if it's doable, I just go and do it, thinking it's opening up the doors as well for other athletes that are coming after me. And if I can do it, and do it at my best, I think they'll probably look at, netball is probably not as bad. Like, we can probably look at netball in terms of, such things compared to Bongi. So this is actually one of the things that I would say, you take on these things thinking, let me just go for it and see how far maybe it can have an impact in terms of how women in sport are seen. And this year is about women, and I've thought about this a couple of times, and thinking to myself as well, how can I just not be seen in training shorts and training vests, all sweaty? If I get a chance of just being different and showing that we're not just one-dimensional, we can actually have other aspects where we can really just get out and be seen and be respected, I look at that Glamour magazine, and every time I read it, I really feel so proud to say, netball has not just given me a platform of being able to catch and pass a ball, but actually being able to figure myself out even more and figure out my capabilities, but also gain so much confidence in what I do and be, part of so many things that I wouldn't have thought I will be part of, up to now. So it's really just fantastic to see and to think that I am part of it. And it was really a great day. Great photos came out of it. So I'm quite pleased. I'm still shy to look at it at times, but I'll take it. It really looks nice, so I'm glad.
Thank you very much.
No, it definitely looks nice. Neo, from Tiger Online, please ask your question. And then after Neo, Ayanda, please pose yours. Neo?
Me?
Yes, use.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, I just want to go back to in terms of preparation. I mean, how did you and the ladies, considering that it's winter, I'm sure training must have been slightly hard. How did you and the ladies overcome that, and what tactics of preparations did you have ahead of training?
I think for now, obviously, all trainings are part of the Telkom Netball League, so everyone is training with their teams. And I can tell you now, it is so cold. We actually train outdoors. our training actually today start from 6 to 8, and at that time it's freezing. So we usually have a very long warm up because everyone needs to make sure they're quite ready. We're quite strict with making sure that however much we can try and make sure we don't get injuries, we try and do that. But it's obviously something that you can't guarantee. So really the warm up and I guess the recovery after that is quite important. But yeah, whether cold or not, work still needs to be done. We still have, I guess, probably some of the national players, not just some of them, we have a training schedule that we still follow. We've got gym sessions and we've got conditioning sessions. So in a case where I guess you trained during the day, you couldn't cover what you need to cover in terms of what national standard requires, you get home and you do those. And I've got a massive pool of my videos on my phone where I actually just get out. I've got a nice gym at home that I set up because I feel I don't really have enough time on the day to be able to go to a Virgin Active, for instance. So I just go home and I do gym, and in a small space, I'll do conditioning. And every time I look at those videos, I keep thinking there's nothing one can't do if you really want to do it. Because after you're all sweaty in a small space and you've done all your, I guess, training, you followed all your training schedule on the day, you start thinking, I actually did it, I can't believe it. And especially now, it is really cold. It's really cold. So it takes really commitment to be able to put through the day and do all that you needed to do. So that's what we're doing basically. And that's why I know when we go out there for the World Cup with whoever that's going to make it, we'll have people who have grit, people who are actually committed, because this time is asking us to actually be fully basing our passion and commitment into a top part to make sure that we are ready.
Cool. Ayanda?
Thank you, guys. Bongi, just looking at the World Cup itself now, you guys are in a group that's not as tough, I would say. But you guys obviously do have Jamaica. You guys, I'm putting the pressure on you now. You guys obviously do have Jamaica, who are currently ranked above you, and Coach Noma Plummer did speak about the challenge that Jamaica are going to be posing. So how important is it? I know all the games are going to be tough, but how important is it for you guys to have an opponent like that in the group stages, going into the knockout stages and knowing that you're going to face even tougher opposition? So how important is it to have a Jamaica that's going to make things very hot for you guys in the pool stages?
I think actually, even when we went to 2019 World Cup, we did have Jamaica. And in 2019, we did win against them, which actually put us in a good position to be able to play a semi-final against Australia. But in saying this, we obviously everyone knows in the netball space, Jamaica has improved so much. They're probably one of the favorites going into the World Cup, and they are part of our pool. And with that, Wales is actually doing well. I think sorry, I don't know why I'm echoing. But I think the last time we played Wales, we won by 10 goals, and that was probably the closest margin. So we are also looking at not undermining any team that's obviously we come up against, because each and every day, every win, every performance is going to matter to how we go forward. But if we have a Jamaica in your pool stage, I think it's actually set a tone in terms of how the World Cup is going to look like. Win or loss at that stage, you would have already upped the notch in terms of your performances and what you expect from each other as a group as well. So I think either way, it is really a positive for us to have them, although obviously we would have wanted, I guess, someone that is not them. And if we didn't get them, you would have gotten anyway, maybe Australia or New Zealand or England. So it's part of how, I guess, the setup of the World Cup is, and we need to take it on like we did, I guess, in 2019. Just be positive and do us compared to focusing on them, focus on what we want to do and have a plan and just get out and actually try and execute.
Great. And then we jump all the way to Cape Town. Lynn Butler, Sport 24.
Thanks, Nelo. So, Bongi, a lot of this seems like there's a lot of pressure on the podium position. Do you think, like, what is your talks with the girls and that confidence and kind of getting that podium finish? Like, is it a realistic position for you? Like, do you see something special within the girls? Like, how's the culture within this team? And can you just talk about that podium position that everyone is speaking about?
I think if I can be honest with you, we don't really just sit and be like, this is us wanting to finish on a podium. Obviously, if we do psychologists, like mental meetings, and we talk about how we want to get out and, do what we want to do, what we want to achieve, it will come up here and there. But with us and our preparations, it's all about the standards of how we want to work. And then those standards are basically about what we do when we're on court. Off the court is the expectations. And this is part of our, the whole group moving together towards being the best that they can be on and off the court when we get to World Cup. Then anything that's to do with the podium finish, I guess it's a fair ask even from the public to probably want a podium finish, because like I said, it's a home World Cup, and if you don't want that, then what else would you want if you have a crack at, hosting a World Cup? And then probably the best finish of it could be a podium finish. And imagine if it can be even gold, that would be fantastic. I think you cannot say then that's pressure. I think pressure comes with, obviously, as soon as you get selected to represent your country, that is pressure, because it's not like you're playing your high school netball. And even at high school, you're representing your school. That alone is pressure. So you take this role knowing that it has a lot at stake, but also going forward with this, you start looking at what can come out as a positive and what can I do to make this the best, in terms of the outcome as well, rather than thinking I have pressure. You have pressure by putting your hand in making a national team. So like I said, honestly, we don't really think too much about podium. We think too much now about how are we going to go about doing what we're going to do on courts come World Cup time. And anything else, if you understand the process and you go through it how you should, I think a podium finish is going to take care of itself.
Thank you.
Great. I think two more questions here. So there's one that I'm going to pose, and then I'll open the floor to Utisetso, who said he wants to ask the last one. So this question comes from Mail and Guardian. So they said, in the last World Cup, South Africa achieved an unbelievable feat, finishing fourth. How do you or South Africa aim to break that ceiling and compete with those top three teams in this current upcoming World Cup?
I think we were quite lucky with the quad series in January that everyone came here and we hosted such an event. And obviously, a quad series is you only play against the top three in the world, which means we did play against Australia, New Zealand, and England. And there was quite a couple of times where different combinations went on court. And this is part of, I guess, everyone really having a feel of how it's going to feel like to step out in court and play against this top basically top four countries, because we are ranked fifth in the world. And if you don't know how to have a crack against the top four, I guess that's going to be a challenge. And at this stage, I think one can be pleased with some of the performances that we put out at the quad series. Although I still say we went out, I think for the first time, Noma looked at us at the changing room and said, I've said this before and I'm going to say it now. You've got all it takes, and I'm pretty pleased with some of the performances you put out. So it was really more of a confident booster as well to see that positivity coming out of her. And she basically said, come World Cup, if you put your mind into it, you have a crack against anyone. You can match anybody if you put your head into it. And I think you wouldn't know if we can do it if we didn't have a quad series. I think at this point, you can't go to a World Cup thinking, I can't do it. And we rank fifth. Ranking fifth means there's probably more, let's say 20 plus teams that are way, below us. So we probably amongst one of the best. That's how I see it. And the more we start understanding that, and I think we do at this stage, the more confidence we're going to have going forward, but without being cocky, because obviously there's a lot of work that needs to be done. And these teams are not just teams. Especially Australia, New Zealand, those are professional countries in terms of netball, and I think England as well. So if you go up against them, it's not like you're going to get those easy games, but it's when it matters then where I guess the expectation of put out the performance that's going to matter. And I think that's what we're trying to do at this stage. So if we get that right, it's a fair thing to say we want to finish at the podium, because it's just a matter of the day, put in a great performance, have one crack like we did in 2019. So we're looking forward to that. And that being better, I think we're quite, some of the players that have been there before are quite matured now, even better than last time. So hopefully that's going to help as well.
Cool. And then I think this would be our final question here. As a request that I just received from Tiseto from City Press, please pose your question. And then if we are all right, then I think it's a wrap then. Tiseto.
Thank you so much, Nelo. Thanks, Bongi. You talked earlier about the nice job that you have there at UJ. It also involves coaching and mentoring your national teammate Oloitu. Just tell us a bit of a story about her.
Oh, I think if there's one thing about me and netball, I always say I'm blessed to be able to work with other up-and-coming athletes. Already came to UJ with Nomfundo Mgomezulu, with Tale Mate, with Boitumelo Mahloko, all squad national players. They all came here. I had a chance of working with them, and I can tell you now, they're also hyped up and just want to work and be the best that they can be. I have been so lucky that since I took on the job at UJ, the athletes really admire having an opportunity to work with me, which I really find, it's such a blessing. But if I think of the likes of the four that I've mentioned, the fact that they could make the national squad and they could perform like they're doing at camps, I get so excited every time I watch them to see the growth every single time we go to camps and start thinking, not just them are going to benefit from this, but also all the other young athletes, they'll start thinking there is a chance. And the more we give them these opportunities, the more we help them in terms of, upskilling them on and off the courts, the better chances they're going to have in terms of their netball career. And it's also then going to give some positivity to the ones that are looking up to them, for instance, to say, if Owetu can do it, I can do it. But Owetu obviously come from KZN as well, one of the kids that I actually know. And when she came here, I didn't really knew much about her. And I know that she contacted one of the Nana Como, one of the players I used to play with in KZN, and said, I want to go to UJ. From that day, I spoke to her mom, and she was a bit unsure because Owetu was quite young. And she said her coming up to Joburg, she really trusted I'll take care of her, because we obviously know that it's hard for a parent to just think their daughter's going or their child is going to a different province and what's going to happen, what's not. From that day, I have to say, since she's been here, she's really been pulling up her socks and really been wanting to work hard. And this is not just only her, the likes of Nomfundo, you probably know, she come from KZN as well. The Tale come from KZN as well. I think it's also just creating the vibe that I've always wanted to think that it can't be just myself and Precious from KZN who could have a crack for so many years at a national setup. And it will only be us. And I think now it actually shows that the talent is there. If it's really groomed well and looked after well, they can take up the space, which is quite happening. And I'm pretty pleased, to be part of that whole setup. And I think those are the type of things that makes me want to coach even more when I stop playing, because I can see that the girls are really cherishing every single moment they can have with me.
That's fascinating. Sorry, maybe as a follow-up question. That's fascinating, Bongi. Did you receive her? Did you stay with her at your house at some point? How did she come to Joburg?
No, I'm quite lucky because I work as a netball manager at UJ, which means I look after anything to do with netball. So the girls that we offer scholarships, I'll be the one who's offering the girls the scholarships. And if I do that, let's say they have 100% scholarship, then they have to get looked after in terms of their tuition fees and accommodation. So if I accept, let's say, the likes of the Owetus, they will come in here with the Nomfundos, the Tales, that standard, like the Tumelo will come here as the top athletes, and they'll get, I guess, a 100% scholarship. Then before they even get here, I would have arranged the accommodation. I would have arranged the payment, for that accommodation and everything to do with you being a top student athlete at the university, high performance athletes. I would set up the whole, lifespan of how, I guess, you start as a first year, how that's going to look like. But obviously scholarship is also, it's a 1-year scholarship, and it's based on your academics and your netball, which is what I quite like, because I don't want athletes to come here and only want to play netball. They need to study as well. So after 3-4 years, I can see them graduating and playing really good netball, which would be a bonus. So I never have to have anyone in my house, which is actually really good. I like my space. but I actually make sure that I make plans in place so by the time they come, they feel really welcomed. Obviously, first day I'll take them to where they need to go, and I'll show them in terms of transport. There's internal buses from the university, so they're actually really well looked after, and I think they're really quite enjoying the setup.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, I think I see there's a couple of media people who have dropped off, and everyone I'm sure is satisfied having asked you the 2, 3, 4 questions like this and so. But but thank you so much, and thank you media guys as well for making the time, as well as Craig for affording us the time. Craig is from Rock Nation, so guys, if you want to bother someone, you can bother Craig. Yeah, and I don't know if maybe Ms. Bongi, you have last statement there. And yeah, on my side to the media guys, you'll get this recording this afternoon. So yeah, Ms. Bongi, you can say your words.
Oh, thank you so much. Firstly, to Craig, I would say you really just organize these very well, and it takes so much pressure off me, so I don't have to worry about how many interviews I get a day. So thanks for taking the pressure off me, and thank you so much to everyone for coming out and really wanting to know what's going on in our space, and also supporting the journey that we are embarking on. I know that we sometimes take media in a different sense and not wanting to do these interviews. Sports cannot grow without you guys, and maybe we need to start understanding that and actually respecting your time as well. So thanks to you for making this happen. Thank you to everyone, and I hope I answered your questions, and going forward we'll obviously be in touch anyway. I'm pretty sure we'll see you in Cape Town.
Thanks so much, Bongi.
Thank you.
Cheers, Bongi.
Thanks,
All the best.
everyone. Thanks, Bongi. Good luck.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Bye.
guys.